Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in with yet another video. And we know the NFL draft is right around the corner. The biggest offseason moves have been made as far as free agency and trades go. Maybe still some things to go on before the draft, but either way it goes. Today is the day that I'm going to give you guys my own personal mock draft of what I think is going to happen for this 2024 NFL draft. But without further ado, let's dive into it. Today's video is brought to you by Cellular C4. This is a product that I personally used before I even decided to partner with them. And the first thing I got introduced to was the energy drinks by C4. This right here is a fruit punch flavor. They have many other flavors. They have popsicle flavors that just dropped. They have Skittles, Starburst, all the type of flavors that you want. To help you get started with your day, you can wake up in the morning before you start your day and drink you one of those. And also before you get that workout in, when it's workout day, you can take you some pre-workout to help you get the boost in your workout. All the products, 0 sugar, low calories. This is a great product to take you in your workouts and your journey on fitness to the next level. And I am happy to partner with a product that I was already using in my own personal life. And I will leave my code in the description below to save you guys 20% on your first purchase of C4 of their workouts. They even have muscle recovery to help boost after workouts. They have so many supplements and things to help you on your fitness journey. And you can get yours today in the description below. Click the link and use my code APW Sports to help you save 20%. And again, the links are in the description below, and use the code APW Sports to save you 20% on your purchase. Now, it is time to get back into the video. All right, so we're gonna use the Pro Football Network formula, and we're gonna use all of the teams. I will do the other one, but I'm not paying just to get trades, so I'm going to use this one. I'm going to pick all the teams. So let's just get right into it. Now, my first 3 picks I think are going to be quarterbacks. And it's obvious that my Bears are going to take Caleb Williams. So I'm going to put Caleb Williams here. And Washington is very interesting. They're going to be a quarterback team, but I think that Drake May is going to be a quarterback that they get with. And for the New England Patriots, they're also a team that's going to need a quarterback. And I think Jaden Daniels is the route they're going to go. Now, there have been things that suggest that the Cardinals could trade out of this pick. And I wouldn't put it past the realm of possibility. But I think with the contract that Kyler Murray, I think with them trying to rebuild this football team and keep continuing to build, I think they're going to get another Ohio State prospect as they did last year with Paris Johnson Jr., and they're going to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. from The Ohio State University. Now, this at the number 5 pick could be interesting. The Chargers are a team that needs a receiver after the trade of Keenan Allen. The Chargers don't need a quarterback. The Chargers do need a little bit of help with their defense. And I think this is a position where we could possibly see our first trade happen. And a team that I think is going to move up into this position, and there's 2 possibilities, but actually there could be 3 possibilities. You could possibly have the Broncos trade up into this position as they need a quarterback. You could possibly have the Vikings. You could possibly have the Raiders. But I don't think the Chargers are going to do any business with a team in their division. So I think this is the spot where we can see our first trade. And this is possibly going to be with the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I did test this thing out before, so it's going to take me a little while to kind of propose the trades. Despite me having control of all teams, I wish they did it like you do a swap between each pick, but I'm going to make this trade happen with the Minnesota Vikings moving up into that number 5 slot. Okay, so now the trade is complete, and this is where I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to draft J.J. McCarthy out of that team up north, a.k.a. Michigan. I personally think that this is a spot where we can see the quarterbacks just start to fall off the board. And the Chargers are in a position where they are still a very good football team. So it's not like this is a football team that needs to really just get the highest pick. I think they could be at a spot at 11. They can still draft the best player available. And I think the Vikings are in a position where they have to move up and get the quarterback of their future. I think this is a team that's possibly going towards a rebuild of this football team, especially after the Kirk Cousins decided to leave for the Falcons. So I think this is a spot where the Vikings are going to try to move up and get the quarterback of their future. Next, we're going to have the New York Giants. They had an offensive line that's okay but solid. They need a running back, but I don't think there's a running back getting drafted this high this year. And they can use some receiver help to possibly pair with Daniel Jones. They could possibly trade out of this spot, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to go wide receiver here, and I think they are going to go with Malik Neighbors. And the Titans, I think, is a spot where we get our first offensive lineman drafted. I'm going to say they're going to get Joe Alt from Notre Dame. Now, the Falcons, this is where I think you're going to possibly see the first defensive player off the board. They do need corner help. They do need edge rush help to help continue to build this football team with the Kirk Cousins signing. And I think this is where we're going to get Dallas Turner from Alabama to be off the board. Now we're going to our Bears. My Bears are number 9. The Bears can go so many different routes with this pick. They could possibly trade back to get more assets. I think that's a very good possibility. They can stick here and take the wide receiver that they need. That's a very good possibility. They can stick here and get an edge rusher besides a guy like Montez Sweat. I think that is a very good possibility here. So the options are open to the Bears at this position. Now, what I think the Bears should do, I think they should possibly draft somebody on their defensive front and get an edge rusher. And this is where I think a guy like Jared Verse, a very good pass rusher from the Florida State, I think this is a spot where the Bears can go. I think they could go Rome Odunze, I hope I'm saying that right, from Washington. He's a very solid wide receiver. They can also go there. But I think if this is a football team that wants to continue to build on both sides of the ball, you go get an edge rusher outside of Montez Sweat. And I think Jared Verse is probably going to be the route that the Bears take. Now, wide receiver could be an option for the Jets. The offensive line really needs some help. And I think this is a spot where they are going to take somebody to help on their front. Or I think they could take Brock Bowers here. And at this point, the Jets are still trying to build a good offense. And I think this is a spot where this is tough. I think this is a spot where Brock Bowers gets off the board to the Jets. Now that the Chargers are moving back, I think this is where Rome Odunze falls. They get the wide receiver that they need to replace Keenan Allen, and they get draft assets. And I think this is a spot where I think Rome Odunze is going to go. So this is a spot where I think he's going to go, and he's going to go here. Now, we're having the Broncos at 12. They still need a quarterback. They still need some edge rush. I don't know what type of football team the Denver Broncos are going to try to build, but I think this is a spot where you could possibly get an edge rusher here with a guy possibly like Latu from UCLA. And this is tough. They can use some corner help with the uncertainty of Patrick Surtain. I don't know what they're going to do with him. But this is a spot where I possibly think they could go quarterback. Might be a Michael Penix Jr. here, but I don't see him going that high. Maybe Bo Nix. Maybe they get that one. I think they're going to get a quarterback later. So this is possibly a spot where we can see another defensive player go off the board. And I possibly see Latu going to the Broncos here. Now, we're going to get our first corner off the board. I think this has probably been the weakest position for the Raiders for some time now, even though we know they need a quarterback. But I think we're going to go Terry and Arnold here. And for the Saints, they can also use some offensive line help. I think they just really need to beef up the offensive line. And I know it's crazy to think that Olu Fashanu will fall this far, but I don't think he goes past the Saints. Now, the Colts are a team that they could possibly use some wide receiver help. The Colts are a football team that they could possibly use some corner help, which I think they are going to need. But they just signed Michael Pittman Jr. to an extension, so this may be a spot where they go corner. And Quinion mentioned out of Toledo is a player that they get here. Now, Johnny Newton is a good player for them. I think he's one of the better interior defensive players in this draft. And the Seahawks, they need a lot of help. But this is possibly a position where they could trade out of it. I just don't personally think they will. And I think you could beef up some of that interior. Byron Murphy is a very good player that could be used here. Chop Robinson. I don't think they're going to get much as far as their offense, but I think this is a team that needs to go defense. And they do need a linebacker, but there's no linebackers, I think, getting rated high. So I think this is a spot where you can see the next defensive player get off the board. And I think they're going to go Byron Murphy from Texas. Next, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is a team where I know they're going to need some defensive help. The way that their defense fell last year, and with a guy like Johnny Newton being on the board here, we could possibly have Chop Robinson as they could use him. I don't think they really need too much edge help, but I think this is a spot where you can see another defensive tackle taken off the board, and I think they're going to go Johnny Newton from Illinois. Now we're going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. I think this is a team that's probably could just take the best player available, and I think you're going to probably get some more offensive line help to help protect Joe Burrow, and this is where I think Fuaga out of Oregon State will go. Now, the Los Angeles Rams, they have a big replacement to go with a guy like Aaron Donald retiring. They could use some corner help. I think that most of the needs for the Rams, with like they're listed here, I think they're going a team that really needs to get defense. A team that really needs to get defense. This is the possibility they could trade back. I don't think we're going to see as many trades. This is my personal opinion. I just don't see a lot of trades happening. Now, we do always have surprises, but I think this is another route where they could possibly go defense. This is another route where some team could possibly trade up and possibly get them a wide receiver or offensive lineman, which I think this may be a possibility, but I doubt it. The Rams trade out of the first round. So I think this is a position where they should possibly go with somebody to help on the defensive front, and Chop Robinson is a guy that can help. Now, the Steelers, I think they can use another receiver to pair with Russell Wilson / Justin Fields. They can use some more help on that offensive line to help beef it up and help beef up their running game. And I think that's something they're going to do. They drafted an O-lineman in last year's draft. I think they're going to go far into that. And I think they're going to get Troy Fatulu out of Washington. Now, the Miami Dolphins are a team that needs help on both of their interiors as far as the offensive line, as far as the defensive line go. Maybe a wide receiver here, but I doubt it with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. So I think they're going to go with the offensive line, and they're going to go Mims out of Georgia. Now, this is where we're going to get another corner taken, possibly another safety. Kool-Aid McKinstry has been one that's been highly talked about. Nate Wiggins. I think this is a spot where the Eagles could go and get some help in their secondary. They really didn't far too well last year, despite them bringing C.J. Gardner-Johnson back. I still think they're going to use some more help, possibly at their safety spot. I think they're going to go Cooper Jean out of Iowa to help with their safety spot. Next, we're going to have the Minnesota Vikings with their second first-round pick. Their first one they took, J.J. McCarthy. Now, I think this is a team that could possibly get maybe another wide receiver, but I don't see them happening to do that again. Maybe they can go defensive tackle, which I could possibly see them doing, but I think they're going to get a corner, and I think they're going to get Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama. Next, we're going to have the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I think they could use some offensive line help with Tyron Smith, now departed. I think they could use some running back help, but there are no running backs this high, so they get Latham out of Alabama. The Green Bay Packers, look out for this team to be a possibility to trade back. I personally think this could be a team that could trade back. I don't think it will happen, but I wouldn't rule it out as a team that if they see something, they're going to look and possibly trade back. I think they could possibly use another wide receiver. And despite the team needs being there, I think this will be the time where you get weapons around Jordan Love. So I think, and you could use an offensive lineman here as far as Bakhtiari not being the guy goes. So I could possibly see them going there, and I think they will. Tyler Guyton is the guy. Next is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They can use some edge rush help. They could possibly use a corner, and I think they're going to go corner here with Nate Wiggins. Now we have 3 more picks left. The Cardinals, they could possibly get another wide receiver, but they can't take 2 wide receivers. I think this is a team that could possibly get another player here, probably get something to help on their offensive line, and they're going to do that with Barton out of Duke. Now, this is where the Bills are going to get them another wide receiver. With the departure of Gabe Davis, I think they're going to draft Braxton, Brian Thomas Jr. Now, the Detroit Lions lost some with Jonah Jackson departing on their offensive line, which was one of the strengths of this football team in 2023. They could possibly use some wide receiver help to help with Amon St. Brown. Jamison Williams, if he stays healthy, could be a good player or a good guy for them. And I think they may go either Donta Mitchell, which I think he's been rising up draft boards, or they could possibly go get another edge rusher, but I think they'll probably do that in free agency. So I think they're going to go, surprisingly, wide receiver here, and I think they're going to go a Donta Mitchell from Texas. Now, the Ravens, I think this is where they get the interior of the offensive line with Jackson Powers Johnson. Now, the 2 Super Bowl teams, I think you don't really need Mott. I think this is a spot where another defensive tackle can be off the board, and Trevondre Sweat to help replace Eric Armstead. And the Chiefs, I think they are a spot where they can just get a very good wide receiver to pair with Patrick Mahomes. And I think they're going to get Keon Coleman from Florida State. So this is where I think they're going to do. And you guys, to just take this with a bit of a grain of salt, just something a little bit fun for me to do. I'm not the biggest draft expert, to be honest. I'm really not. But I do enjoy the process of the draft. I'm interested to see what my Bears are going to do, of course. But here's my thoughts. You guys leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Did I get anything crazy or anything like that? Leave them in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.